Yes, there are going to be colors, and if you're someone who's a little artsy, this might be one of those lessons where you moderately enjoy your algebra. So what we're looking for is we're going to graph one line, we're going to graph a second line, and then we're going to shade in, and where those two lines overlap, that's what we're looking for. That would be considered the solution. And so I'm going to use multiple colors up here, and if you are a colorful person, you like lots of colors, I have some colored pencils up here that you're welcome to borrow. If they're in a package now, make sure they get back in the package when you return them. If they're just loose in the tub, just put them loose back into the tub. If you have markers and highlighters, they work really, really well for this. Colored pencils work well too, but highlighters work great. So let's get started. Okay, step one, graphing the lines and remembering what the symbols mean. Okay, so if we look at this, we're saying y is what compared to the number 1 here? What's very good. Greater than or equal to. Greater than would be above or below? Above. So I need to graph the line where y is equal to 1, and I need to shade above it. Will this be solid or dotted?
Dotted. Solid.
More ink on the symbol, more ink on the line. So we're going to have a solid line, and we're going to shade above. And if we come over here, so y is equal to 1. Now, there wasn't an x in that, was there? So that means if it only has one variable, it's one of the special kind. It's either vertical or horizontal, and a y equals is going to be horizontal. So you can see right here, solid line, horizontal. And then it said we decided that we needed to shade above, right? So take that line, and every place above that line you would shade in. Don't just do a little strip. Go ahead and fill in whatever your graph looks like. It'll get you a little bit better understanding of what's going on. Now let's take the second equation. This is not in a good form for us to graph, so we do need to rearrange it. Remember, you're trying to get the y by itself. So what needs to leave in this equation? The 3 with the x. So I need to put a minus 3x on both sides, and that would give us y is what compared to the line? Y is less than means lower, right? So this one's going to be a dotted line, and it's also going to be shaded below. Oh, I should spell below correctly. Bleo. Try that again. Below.
How are you able to write on a software? Don't I have to drag?
It's tape. It's whiteout tape. It's so amazingly awesome. Yeah, it's the best thing ever. Okay, so here's the first one. Let's graph this one. My slope says it's a -3. So if my slope is a -3, what do I have to do to it? So I have two directions. Got to put a 1 under it so you have an up and down and a sideways direction. So this means you're going to go down 3 spaces into the right one. My begin here point is always on the y-axis, and it says it's at -1. So I'm going to go to my graph. I'm going to find where there's a -1. I'm going to apply my slope, which says I should go down 3 spaces, 1, 2, 3, and to the right 1. I'm going to double check what kind of line I have. Less ink on the symbol, less ink on the line, therefore it is dotted. Okay, dotted line. And it was a less than symbol, so the shaded part is less than or lower than the line. So that means I need to go below the line. All right, well, below the line, if this is the line, below it would be down that way. So that means everything on this side of the line would need to be shaded in. And notice when you're using the colors, it's really nice because you can see very clearly where the solution is because the color changes. So the green area is basically your solution. You could pick any ordered pair from the green area and they would satisfy or solve, make the math truthful on these two equations. And that's what we're doing today. Okay? All right. Do you have any questions so far with that one? Not too bad? All right. All right, let's look at the next one. We're going to graph that. This is just practice graphing before you get set off on your homework. Oh, speaking of that, cross this part out. I have a worksheet for you to do today. Okay, it's not out of the textbook. So, all right. All right, here we go. Example 2, solve the system of inequalities by graphing. The first equation is not set up very well. I'm trying to get the y by itself. So we need to move that to x. It becomes a negative. So now let's analyze what's happening. I have a slope, and what's the slope going to be on this line? A -2, thank you. And it's a whole number, so what do I have to do to it? Put a 1 under it. Good. Put a 1 under it so you have two directions. So that means when I need my slope, I'll move down 2 spaces, and I'll move to the right 1. My begin here point, B for begin here, on the y-axis is going to be at +1. So my begin here point is going to be at +1. My slope is a -2, so down 2 spaces and to the right 1. Looking at my equation, it's going to be a dotted line. And then which way will I need to shade this one? Above. Y is greater than, meaning y is above the line. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to do 2 colors that are going to be, no, let's see what color am I? Okay. All right, so if we go above the line, it won't matter on this one because they're not going to overlap anyway. So this is the line, and this is above the line. When we graph the second line, we don't have to rearrange it, so that's nice. The slope is a -2 once again. So what do we know about that? They're going to be parallel, right? Okay, and my begin here point on the y is at -2. So I'm going to go where it's -2, put a dot. My slope is a -2, down 2 spaces and to the right 1. Once again, it's a solid line this time. And this one's going to be shaded less than, which is lower than or below. So if this is the line, below the line would be down. So there we go. Notice they did not overlap, therefore there truly is no solution. Are you okay with this so far? Pretty straightforward? Okay. All right, you will at some point, and I don't know if it's on today's worksheet or tomorrow's worksheet, have a problem, I believe, that's similar to this, so do pay attention. This is all about going to a roller coaster and being a certain age and a certain height in order to be able to ride the ride. So this really, it does happen, right? You have to be certain height and certain ages to ride rides. And so they're giving us some parameters, some limitations on who gets to ride this ride. You have to be 5 years old to 9 years old. Would that include the ages 5 and 9?
Yes.
Yes, okay, good. And you have to be 30 to 50 inches in height. Would that include those heights?
Yes.
Yes. All right, so that means we're going to have solid lines. Okay, yeah, it's not real tall. So let's, they're using an A for the age and H for the height. So the age is going across the bottom, you can see, and the height in inches is on the y-axis. Because their y depends on x, their height usually depends on their age. All right, so remember when we were doing the compound inequalities like this? and we were reading from the variable towards the number, so we would read to the left on one of them and then to the right, and we read that symbol as you come to it. So what is this saying? A is what compared to the 5? Greater than. So I need all ages that are greater than or equal to 5. So I'm going to come over here to the 5 and draw a solid line at age 5. And the age has to be less than or equal to 9. So I'd have another vertical line here at age 9. I'm going to shade in between those two colors, or those two lines, because anyone who falls into this category can ride the ride. Does that make sense now? Kind of when you see a little bit of it? Okay, there's one thing. So that was all about the age. Now we're going to be all about the height. Once again, we're using the same strategy, and H is greater than or equal to 30. So that's why they have a solid line at 30. And H is less than or equal to 50. So there's the 50. And does it make sense that it would be all inside here as well? So now, to pick a different color. And you can see how the color changed, and you can see exactly where the solution is. Now, they're asking us, could you name any possibilities, maybe 2 or 3 combinations of age and height that would be able to ride this ride? Who could ride this ride? Like a 6-year-old that weighs how much? Or that's how high, how tall?
40.
40, yeah, a 6-year-old who's 40 inches tall could ride it. Who else could ride it? A 7-year-old that's what? 30 inches. Just barely, right? Just barely. Now, had that been a dotted line and you landed right on it? Probably not, right? Depending on what the symbol was. If it was a dotted line, they wouldn't be able to. So the solid line and dotted line do mean something. Who could not ride this ride?
Someone who's 10.
Someone who's 10. That's right. They need to go on the scarier rides. All right? So, do you have any questions on how that story problem kind of got put together at all? You good? All right. See if you can graph the first try it at the bottom. We just have 2 try-its, and then the remaining, 30 minutes will be you doing homework. You might get almost done. Okay, so see if you can graph this first one. Oh yeah, I'll do these 2 colors. This will turn out ugly. Do you need a pencil? Okay, let's do it. Come on. Part of learning is doing. Math is not a watching subject. It's a doing subject. All right, that top equation, it has only one variable. And that variable is y. Which direction will that line go? Show me with your arms. What do you think? Y is 0. So a y equals has a 0 slope, so it's going to be a horizontal line. Will this one be solid or dotted?
Dotted.
Dotted. All right, so at 6 is my begin here point. It's a horizontal line that is dotted, and we will shade. It says the shaded part is less than 6, so that means below 6. Okay. The second equation says that my begin here point is at positive 3, so 1, 2, positive 3. My slope is a what? A 1 over 1, good job. So that means up 1 over 1. And will this be dotted or solid? Dotted, good. And will this one be shaded above or below? The shaded part is what compared to the line? Read it like a word. Did you come to the little tiny lower less than side first or the big fat greater than side first? When you read it like a word from the Y. Y is what compared to the line?
Greater.
Greater. So greater would be above. And that's how you read it all the time. The shaded part is what compared to the line? It's a greater than sign, so it's going to be above your dotted line. So that means this area all up in here. And look how ugly those two colors are together. That's why I picked them. Ugh. But it's easy to see. So anything in that dark kind of brownish, grayish, blackish, bluish color would make the problems true. Okay? Now, try B. There's a secret to B. So be careful. There's a secret on B. I don't want to catch you, but I bet I do. Rearrange your equations so that you're able to graph them. Okay. The first equation is fine. The second one needs a little work. So I'd have to subtract 2x from both sides. That's an x plus a 1. Okay. Now, how many of you got this for your answer on that second equation? Okay. It's wrong. Why? I didn't flip it. Good. And that's why I wanted to do it wrong. I wanted to make sure that you were paying attention. See how there's a negative in front of this y? That negative is still here, isn't it? So what do I need to do to make it go away? Yep, times everything by a -1 or divide by a -1, whatever you choose to do. So now you get a y, and then we go ding, 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 ding. You have to flip it. Now we're good. Now we can graph this one and this one. So the top one, we begin at 3, -3, 1, 2, -3. The slope is a +2, so that means up 2 spaces and to the right 1. And it appears to be a dotted line. And I should shade which direction, above or below?
Above.
Above. All right, above the line. So there's above the line. Okay. The second equation begins at -1, has a slope of +2, up 2 over 1. What did you notice about the slopes of these two lines? They're exactly the same, so what does that mean when you graph them? They better be parallel, okay? This one, however, has a solid line. And this one is now shaded below the solid line. So below means underneath. So did this set of parallel lines actually have a solution? In the past, most of the time they didn't, did they? The only reason these did is because of that greater than, less than in the inequality symbols, okay? So I've given you some examples of colors that look really nice together or really bad together, and it's your choice. If you wish to use colors, you can. If you'd rather just use your pen or pencil, that's fine. Just make sure that you can see where your solution is on your homework, okay? Do you have any questions? Yes, sir. You're getting a worksheet today, and all the graphs have already been drawn on there for you, so it'll be fast and easy. I would recommend, however, you kind of sketch it in pencil first, then go back and color it in with marker or colored pencils, because those are hard to erase once you've put them on there. I will put the answers up so you can kind of check yourself as you're going, all right? So let's get that started for you, and it'll be good.